Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the NatiCast. And now to your hosts, Tim Barker, Rex Stull, and Ron Thomas.
The Bengals keep losing. Happy holidays are blue.
That was
That's how I'm starting.
that was brutal last night. Oh,
My God.
It's yeah.
Why is it it's just like it's pea in my cornflakes in the morning. It makes Mondays so sucky.
And at some point last night, Barker texted me and was like, it's going to be a blowout. First half of the game, the Bengals Chargers game. It's gonna be a blowout. So come halftime, Sunday night football. I was like, I'm going to bed. He's right. I'm going to bed. It's not even close. Whatever it was, 21-6 or something. They couldn't do anything. And
then I'm like Brokeback Mountain because I'm like, I can't quit him. I can't quit him.
So I wish I wasn't. So then I go into bed and I had my iPad with me, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to hop on and watch because they got the ball to, they had deferred. So they get the ball to start the third quarter. And I thought I'm going to hop on and just watch them pile on. You know what I mean? Just throw it up, be 28-6 by the time after they get the ball. And then that comeback started. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
It just kept coming and coming and coming. And then
they look great.
I mean, unbelievable. And then
I don't know if Lou lit a match under whose butt on defense, but man, they came out like gangbusters.
Unbelievable on both sides of the ball. Incredible.
Yes.
Just shut them down on defense. I don't know, Ronnie, if did you tap out on that game last night or?
I watched the first half and like you. I mean, I went and turned the television on and I was just kind of laying around ready to go to bed, just about to turn it off, and I looked, and they were coming back, so I watched the rest of it.
Unbelievable.
And then you wept.
And
you wept.
Well,
like a wide left. Twice.
So here's Tim drops. He started, Shooter McPherson, Money McPherson, right?
No more. He's stripped of those. Sir Shanks-a-Lot.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Goodness.
Here's the new nickname. Sir Shanks-a-Lot. Brittany, a.k.a. Oops, I Did It Again. Limp Penis. Mr. Blank. Because he's certainly no shooter.
That might be the one.
Although Todd Loizo came back, he said, I really think you're putting too much thought into this when the obvious shitter is right in front of you. And I was like, that's pretty strong. I threw up on the chat last night. So 30 years ago in 1994, Mark Brett Schneider, Todd Loizo, myself, and who was not even my fiance at the time, Wendy Lake, hopped in my Olds 98 convertible 65 and drove down to San Diego to watch the Bengals Chargers.
Oh, so that's what that reference was.
That reference was. So it was 30 years ago. That's why. Yeah. And then on from the Bengals, Tim, did you make it down to the Pete?
I was. I did. I stood in line. Did I send you a picture of this? I should send you a picture of it.
Yeah, you didn't.
That's kind of the opening of the field, and then had big picture on the Jumbotron, and had his ashes there as well.
His ashes were down on the field?
No. We're right there, like the table that was overlooking the field.
Because Major League Baseball had banned him from going onto the field, and I was just curious whether they were going to, just out of spite,
oh my God,
put his ashes out on the field for people to be able to go see him.
That's ridiculous.
It is.
It's ridiculous.
I look at all of it. I sit and I was looking and thinking about all of this. And first of all, I can't think of a more Cincinnati thing. I mean, it's almost like, we laid this guy in state here at our cathedral.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, right? That we do that. And certainly in a town that knows, everything there is to know about Pete, good, bad, and ugly, right? I mean, it's all out there on display. But then just looking at the pettiness of baseball, of the Hall of Fame, of all of that, especially towards the end of his life, you sit and you go, and he was even saying in that documentary, he said, I guess I'm going to have to die before they let me in. And you kind of go, what was the point of all that? I get it if you're not going to go let him manage a team or something like that, but really he couldn't go into he said he'd never been in the clubhouse at Great American Ballpark. Literally never been able to step foot in the clubhouse. I just thought it was crazy.
No, there was a great article on ESPN.com by one of the senior writers that really, really good of just pinpointing all of those, all of those issues. His name is escaping me, but it was great for me because I got his daughter was there, his granddaughter was there, and it was another family member that was greeting all of the people that came out to show their respects.
Fantastic.
And
that's great.
Oh wow!
And I got to tell him that he was 1 year ahead of my mom at Western Hills, so there was a connection there. And then his dad, Harry Rose, played semi-pro football with my grandfather, Clyde Orleman. And so I was able to talk to them about that. So it was kind of
that's
nice...
awesome because you'd mentioned that. I don't know on a previous episode, but only in passing, and I've never been able to come back and revisit that. I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah, yeah,
that's great.
No, I wish I would have picked my grandfather's brain more, knowing that when at the time, you know what I mean,
sure.
Like finding that out after the fact. But he was just salt of the earth in very few words, so I don't know. That would have probably been tough anyway. So
we could have gotten him on the podcast, maybe on a microphone.
Yeah, that would have been a feat. Oh yeah,
it would have been more effusive.
Totally.
Oof.
Yes, go.
No, but I mean, so the crowd. I was curious. It sounds like it was quite the crowd down there.
Totally. I mean, I think they said tens of thousands. I don't know if certainly thousands.
Yeah. And on a rainy, like you said, the day was not cooperating weather. I mean, might have when you were there, but I mean, it was
intermittent
nice day.
Showers.
Yeah.
But overall gray and somewhat warm, so that was kind of nice.
Yeah.
But we talk about the Beverly Hills Supper Club. There was a couple behind me. Who his uncle ran the Beverly Hills Supper Club.
What?
He
dude, you needed to get a name. That's now.
I know. Oh, he said there's a restaurant in Newport that's got good steaks. Is it called Blinkers or?
It's Covington.
Is that Covington?
Yes.
And it's called Blinkers.
It's called Blinkers. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, I certainly could track this guy down if we need to.
Well, wait a minute. He couldn't have run the Beverly Hills Supper Club if he's in his 40s.
No, his uncle.
His uncle ran the Supper Club.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
You used to live like 4 doors down from Blinkers, didn't you, Ronnie?
Well, a block, but yeah.
Well, he said that they have great steaks. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. It's very true. It's very true.
Okay.
In fact, Monday is half price burger night, and I think Wednesday is steak night. So I may
love
have
that
to.
RT knows that. RT's all over.
Well, I still go.
Do you get alerts?
We went there. No, it just doesn't change. It just is what it is. But actually, Rex and I went there. Speaking of the Reds,
Ron literally for years lived literally 1 block from there, just right there in Covington.
Get out of here! Why are we going over there?
Well, that's where you and I ate, Rex. When we finally went to opening day.
Yeah, and we would walk across because we could do that, and then we could just walk across the bridge and go to the game.
Across the bridge, yeah, and we're right at the game.
Ron is referring to. We had a tradition. We went to quite a few opening days, didn't we? We went to opening day, and then one year, did we make it to the game, or we were getting ready to leave for the game? I don't remember specifically. But regardless,
we did not make it to the game.
I think we were trying to go out the door, and I went to get the tickets, and I couldn't find the tickets, and looked and this and the other thing until finally I pulled out of a pair of washed jeans, like this paper, get like when you wash paper, and I'd washed the opening day tickets.
My God.
They were confetti. Yeah,
it was terrible.
I think we ended up watching on a 13-inch screen that year.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
And it stood that way for years until that one day you called and was going, "Hey, I made up for it," and you bought opening day tickets, and we had lunch at Blinkers and then walked across the bridge. But tell you what, I'll ask around when I go down there. But the steaks are good. The burgers are good and everything.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I know the owner and the managers down there, so.
Okay.
But I never heard that one of them's uncle ran Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
What is that guy's name again? It's a well-known family. So we were talking about this last time. Do you know,
the
Rex,
Shillings.
offhand?
The Shillings family. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, we're definitely gonna tuck in hard to the whole episode on the suburb because it has been one of my lifelong fascinations. It really has. So we're gonna have to put a proper episode together. And I was just kind of we were talking Bengals and Reds and Pete, and FCC had a good run again this year, but again fell short. We need a championship in this town. I mean, when
was the last?
90.
Was it 90?
Yeah.
90 Reds.
90,
That's
90.
the wire-to-wire
That's
year, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it, man. That's too long.
This coming year will be 35 years since the city of Cincinnati's had a championship.
Oh, man.
And are we, where are we on, do we, and I even shudder to say this, but is the Burrow Bengals, have we missed that window?
Wow.
It's an interesting question. And because he's been in the league, he's 5 years now?
5 years.
5
and
years,
he's getting banged up, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's getting beat up, and other people are coming into the league.
But he's having the best. Best. This is not a Burrow. I mean, he's having the best year of his career. I don't know how long he can stand back there and take a pounding like this. And obviously, with both T and Chase, having contracts up next year. I mean, you could see the difference in that game last night, having T back across from Chase.
Totally.
I mean, it just makes such a huge difference in opening the whole game up.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I'm nervous. Now I'm nervous. I'm like, because if you're not seeing moves being made organizationally, then
the Bengals don't.
What are we doing?
They just don't do that, do they? I mean, they just don't. And
I thought we were. I really did. I thought we were starting to kind of move in that direction, but this year just feels Twilight Zone-y.
Well, it does.
I mean, moves are made when everything burns down. And then the moves are being made rather than before the fire. What's that thing? When do you build the ark? You build it before the rain. So everything burns to the ground, and then now we need to make all these moves.
And it's tough when you have such headline. I mean, even on the defensive side, I mean, nobody knows Trey Hendrickson's name, and he leads the league in sacks. And yet the defense is a mess. But by the same token, that defense came out and played 25 minutes of football in the second half. That was incredible.
Yeah.
Now the last, 27 minutes. Until that last play. Yeah. Anyway, I just, you have to spend money in places that aren't as obvious. And I'm pretty sure that's where the problem starts and lies. I mean, everybody has injuries to deal with, and everybody's got that stuff to deal with. But it seems such a shame. Like I said, I would have almost felt better if they got blown out yesterday. But this team is too good to be 4-7, right?
Right.
I mean, I watched Pittsburgh win 18-16, beating Baltimore yesterday. They kicked 6 field goals.
Right.
And they've got, Mayor of Munchkinville back there as their quarterback. I mean, Russell Wilson is washed up and about 5'0" back there. But, he's able to run the offense and move the ball and and then they've got a strong defense and win that game. And they find ways to win, kind of in the same way we're finding ways to lose.
We lack ways to finish. Yeah.
Right.
It's very frustrating.
So, but why is Acosta want to leave FCC?
That's a good question. I just saw that too, and it's a shame because, and I mean, I guess maybe it's back-to-back seasons of, I don't know, of not getting it done,
pulling up short. Yeah,
I don't know. I hope he changes his mind, but it didn't sound good.
No.
It didn't sound good, and because that dude is legit. And look, maybe he just has opportunities to move on to I don't know, maybe even outside of MLS. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's possible he's got opportunities elsewhere.
Right.
But It would be a shame. I mean, especially, they got all these, the Messi and the whole crowd coming over from Europe and playing here, and there's so much attention now on the MLS. It'd be an exciting time to be playing. And, as far as FCC goes, I mean, they seem to be serious about trying to, they just haven't done it, but they seem to be serious about getting there. They just need to get over the hump.
The hump.
And we got Tito Francona next year, guys. I mean, Terry Francona.
Yes, that's exciting.
Is a huge. It's very un-Cincinnati-like to go out and make a big splash and a real hire for a manager.
That's exciting.
So, maybe with, the guys coming back from injury and, these pitchers all having another year under their belt. I don't know. I saw Martinez decided to take his qualifying offer, so he's coming back. I don't know if you saw that. Pitching, which is great. I mean, they thought, he opted out of his contract and they made him a qualifying offer. So if he signed somewhere else, they were going to get a draft pick or something, but he accepted the qualifying offer. So, yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if maybe the Reds can do a 35-year renewal for us.
The NatiCast is supported by Mad Cheese. Mad Cheese is a completely plant-based, dairy-free cheese and charcuterie shop located in Madisonville. The owners, Cincinnati natives Heather and Reggie Donaldson, handcraft over 30 different plant-based cheeses and meats in their commercial production kitchen behind the storefront. You're invited to stop in and sample the wide array of products, book a curated tasting, or sign up for the new subscription box program, which will feature an exclusive new cheese every month with recipes and board building tutorials. For more, head to Instagram and Facebook at Mad Cheese Cincy or go to www.madcheese.com. And with that, back to the show.
But before we get on to, I got a little warning email that came in, and it said we have an imposter because the person we have hosting the show is called Greg Wright. He's an alcoholic construction worker, and he abandoned his 11-year-old son.
Right. He's a bastard.
What I'm referring to, and again, if Tim only had a podcast to preview his stuff for the audience before it aired, that would probably be helpful. But Tim was on an episode of Chicago Med this past Friday, which I'm sure you can find on Peacock. Or
you can stream it. Episode 1007, Family Matters. Have at it. Enjoy. You're welcome.
Oh, okay.
And I pointed out to Tim, I was watching it, by the way, and while I was watching it, I said, I think you spent this whole episode literally lying in a hospital bed. I don't think there was a shot of you standing through the whole.
No. Listen, hospital bed acting is not easy.
I'll tell you exactly it. I mean, you really.
Let me tell you. Bed sores are serious, bro.
That's right.
You got to keep moving.
Is that how long?
Adjusting yourself.
How long does it take? A week? How long do you shoot something like that?
They had me in Chicago for 13 days, but I had a fitting one day. I was on set three out of those 13.
Right. So they take about 2 weeks.
Did you get to keep your wardrobe?
No, I didn't. Nothing interested was of interest to me.
I was going to say, it was a hospital gown.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it was a fat suit because it was a fat suit underneath the gown, like a little belly, and then the construction gear they had me when they were wheeling me in was cut up from the waist up, so that was no good. But it depends character to character. Sometimes there's some shoes or a hat or a jacket, something like that, but none of this. This was all like Carhartt,
Carhartt, yeah. No,
construction.
You had it,
Yeah. So
no, it was great. It was a lot of fun. I did, like I said, I watched it. So folks want to catch Tim Barker on Chicago Med, I highly recommend it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet, Tim, but I will definitely.
I'm waiting for that review, RT.
I've always been kind.
Because I know you keeps it reals.
Speaking of reviews, I had a first feedback on a Natty Chat. My mom took umbrage. I believe I made some statement about their lousy selection of vinyl records while I was growing up, and she came back with said, well, your dad got most of those free as promotional things from the station, and I'm sorry, Rita. That doesn't excuse anything. I mean, that's even worse. We still played Mike Olson's Tubular Bells regularly in the house. I mean,
Is that why you had King Quick Brothers live at the Acropolis?
There you go, exactly. The Quick Brothers. That's exactly
Mike,
it.
It was
Mike Reed.
It was a long time before I realized that was the same guy.
Yeah, right?
I
Isn't
thought
that
they were
brilliant?
actually twins.
Quick Brothers were
No,
twins.
it's brilliant.
Did you say
Yeah.
Mike? I think my parents
Yeah.
did know Mike Reed, actually. I think.
Well, and I think he had a couple of albums.
And he had some albums out, and I believe we had a
Yes.
Mike Reed album. Now that you mention it, so
Larry Boyd, that was the album guy. That was the vinyl
Yes.
collector.
how many albums?
Inagata Davida.
From
Play It Again, Sam.
Play It Again, Sam.
Yes,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
but he's playing this as like this. And I'm like, what is? He's like, you don't know what it is? Let me tell you about Inagata Davida. He knows. That was our schooling. That was our
I think he had
musical knowledge.
I think he might have had. What did you say? Over 1,000 vinyl. I mean,
well over 1,000. Yeah, that he had an entire wall with these custom shelves built and just packed full and all categorized and alphabetized.
You're also sleeping on musical royalty that walked amongst us with Mr. Brengelman, who was a founding member of the Raisins.
what about the Modulators? You mean the Modulators?
It was the Modulators, wasn't it? Yeah.
So he was not a part of the Raisins.
I can't say one way or another about the Raisins, but he was definitely in the Modulators. So we'll have to fact check that because I know that now he very easily could have been, but John Bringelman played with the Modulators because he had that old checker cab car, right?
I remember
was his
that.
car, and he had the I Modulate sticker on the back.
Right. But the Raisins was a Cincinnati band, correct?
And I believe the Raisins was a Cincinnati band, and
so
I just didn't realize that he very easily could have played with them. I mean, that's
Well, yeah. He was the thank you guy for the Modulators, at least.
the what?
One of his jobs was just before the last note of the song to yell "Thank you."
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My God.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Good night.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Cincinnati.
I mean, it was every song. Ta-da. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That's awesome.
There's a Modulators office frame or a Modulators record framed in my office.
What's the title of that album?
It's just the
I think
Modulators.
it's just-
Maybe it was their debut album. Yeah.
Well, most debut albums are self-titled, aren't they? Ron the Thomas. Holiday traditions, fellas. I know it's going to be kind of.
What do you guys got cooking?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a little tough, TB, because your
Yes.
mom not being home anymore and things like that, and then I know that you've lost both of your in-laws like within a week of each other this year, so it's going to be
Yes.
it's going to be
It's going to be a tough one.
yeah, it'll be a hard one. But is there any traditions you can cling on to? Anything you guys do or regularly have done or will try to do and carry on going forward?
Jeez. That's such a tough one, especially coming on the heels of this, because right now Trace and I are kind of, in some ways, trying to find our own that we can kind of cling to. We were thinking about maybe going to Palm Springs because that's a special place for us.
Sure.
But I will say that I do know so when my dad was alive, we would go to a movie Christmas Eve.
Oh.
That was always a tradition because it would quell the excitement about waking up Christmas morning. So that's where that kind of came about. And then we continued that even as adults.
And I like that actually. That's a good one. So
because it was also dead. There was nobody there.
Right. But the Christmas releases had come out, so the new movies were there to be seen. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So that's always nice. We try to implement that in some ways. And then my mom and I, because she didn't really get into it. It's not like she was a festive type. I mean, obviously not coming from a religious background. So we would go to Christmas tree lots Christmas Eve late, and there would be leftover trees, and we would snag a tree and then, set that up and do our own thing,
So I'm going to tell my favorite David Stahl Sr. Christmas tree story. So we were going. My grandparents, his parents would go to Florida for the winters, and so they were down there in the winter. And I believe, I could be wrong about this. So Dave and I were teenagers, probably 15, 16 years old, in that range. And we were going to maybe fly down there Christmas Day because the plane tickets are cheaper, right, if you fly on the day. So I think we were flying down Christmas Day. And so my dad made the decree that this year we weren't going to get a Christmas tree because we were never a fake Christmas tree house. We always had a real tree. This year we weren't going to get a Christmas tree because we were flying down on Christmas Day and it would be a waste. So I'm out with my mom and we just, we're talking. She's like, this is ridiculous. So we bought a tree and we drove that thing home, and Dave Stahl met us out in front of the house and was furious. And he made us take it back. We had to roll into this place we bought the Christmas tree and tell them some story that we bought the tree and he bought a tree at the same time and we're so sorry to take the Christmas tree back. So yeah, that was there's a Stahl family Christmas tradition for you.
The NatiCast would like to take this opportunity to tell you about Red Oak Animal Rescue. It is a local nonprofit animal sanctuary right here in the Cincinnati area. If you're looking for a good way to give back to your community and see some cute animals on your feed all at the same time, please head over to Red Oak Animal Rescue on Instagram or Facebook, or check them out at their website, redoakanimalrescue.com. The best way to support Red Oak Animal Rescue is to check out the Patreon page and sign up for a monthly subscription, or click the link to check out some of their adorable merch. Once again, the NatiCast is very happy to support Red Oak Animal Rescue, and with that, back to the show.
How about you, Ronnie?
But you guys,
go ahead.
Mine was always before the big tradition was I would rent a van and grab my brother, and we would go to Mom's house the day before Thanksgiving, and then again on the day before Christmas Eve, and she would hand us this list, and we would have to report somewhere. Open the back doors of the van, and a forklift would load 2 pallets of food, all packed up in boxes, meal kits basically. And we would have to start at the top of the list and drive around and deliver these food boxes.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
That is.
That's what we did.
They did it like through the church or something, put them together for people?
It was through one of a church or an outreach organization, one of those types of things. But she would basically call people or would give her phone number out, and people would call and they would sign up. We have a family of 4, that sort of thing, or however it worked. But so we'd rent a van and just load up and honestly, then go around.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, setting the religion aspect aside of Christmas or whatever. I mean, just from just the spirit of the season. I mean, that captures it perfectly. That's a fantastic tradition.
But that was just, but that was Mom. That's what she did. And, we didn't have much growing up, but there was always someone that had less.
Yeah.
And it was our responsibility to look after those people that had less. And then on the actual day of Thanksgiving and Christmas, I just became the chauffeur, So I'd get up in the morning, I'd, call mom, and whenever she was ready, I'd pick her up. And then she would just have a list of places that she wanted to go. And so I would just kind of drive her everywhere, to sisters, brothers.
So, so how many brothers and sisters
just things like that.
You have or any?
I have 9. I'm the youngest of 10. So there's 8 boys and 2 girls. Not all are here in Cincinnati. So we would, and then getting, later on in recent years, of course, everyone's older. And so a lot of my brothers and sisters, their kids live in, the Carolinas or in Georgia and things like that. So my brothers and sisters go to their kids' homes outside of town. But that was Christmas Day. And I tell you what, I finally got smart about it. And a couple days before, I would make sure to go to Kroger and buy those Gladware, those disposable like Tupperware containers.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'd just buy a ton of them, and I'd walk in every door we walked into. I'd walk in with some empty, Gladware
because you can't eat
stock
6
up on
or
food.
7 meals.
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to cook or buy food for a week and a half.
Yeah.
And Thanksgiving traditions around your house, TB, growing up, anything? You guys have anything?
That was always at my grandma's, 2478 River Road. That's where we would all meet, all cousins, everybody.
What's a head count at a gathering like that? What are we talking?
You're probably looking at like 25.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Now my cousins will do it at their place, and sometimes
you're not giving that address out so that everybody can show
yeah, that's right. Ron will be there with his Tupperware.
That's right. He's going to come. He does a sampling of all the pies from around the region and does a.
How about
great.
you? What do you guys do?
Yeah, we used to. When the Italian grandparents were alive, for a while we would go over there, and I was like, Thanksgiving Italian style was basically like your normal Italian dinner. You'd have pasta and sausage and whatever, just normal. Like you'd go down, and then there would be a turkey in the middle of the table. Because they were like, yeah, well, apparently you're supposed to have turkey. So there was a turkey and then like a regular Italian meal, and they would do it. My parents had a house on Beachmont Avenue, which is now gone. I mean, it's a parking lot for a church now. And they bought out there, I guess, when Beachmont Avenue was a 2-lane road. And, now it's 5-6 lanes wide. But they would always do it in the basement, which, for my grandfather, who stood about 5'1" and was fine. But, my dad said we were all could hit our head down there, but they would set up these tables down there. It looked like kind of, I don't know, like the Last Supper if it were held in a basement, down there, this big long table with all the pasta and everything on it. And I don't know why they couldn't do that upstairs, but apparently basement was the place for it. Hose it down when it was done. So we would do that. And we generally did Christmas at our house, like Christmas. You guys Christmas Eve, Christmas Day presents? Did you guys?
All Christmas Day for sure.
Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Eve is so foreign to me.
I agree. There's something, yes, we can go on the record here and say that we have a unanimous decision that's not right.
Oh, yeah.
Something not right.
That's wrong. That's just wrong.
Christmas Eve
man.
was for shaking everything, yeah.
Yeah.
Shaking all the packages on Christmas Eve, and then, Christmas Day, you open everything up and you break it. You've broken something on Christmas Eve.
Sure. Well, no, there would be nothing out Christmas Eve.
Exactly.
And then you would go to sleep, and then you would see because Santa was there. Yes.
See, I think maybe Ronnie being the youngest of that many, they disabused him of the notion that Santa was coming early on. They're like,
right. You're like,
yeah.
Santa's here. Don't touch nothing
don't
until
touch
tomorrow.
any of this. Santa, drop this off to me. I'm putting it under the tree. Don't touch it.
I'm in charge. Leave it alone.
And didn't you have a cactus, Rex? Can you talk
Dave
to me
and
about
Rita
that?
Then after the
tree incident.
After the tree incident, so then Dave and I left home or whatever, and so at some point in time, and actually I think it was when they moved. It's probably been now 30 years because it was Wendy and I had lived in a place there on Milton Street that they moved into after we moved to Miami. and there was a cactus that was there when we moved in, and then they kept it. And then that became the tree. In fact, still today, the cactus is now huge. Which,
it's huge.
Decorates the cactus, and that solved the issue of having to return the Christmas tree.
Oh my God!
The Christmas cactus.
That's awesome.
We used to, when I was traveling and stuff, Thanksgiving in particular, we would do out. And did you guys ever do any friends things like in New York? Did you ever, or did you always try to go home or to one of the places for Thanksgiving too?
No, now we have dear friends that live in Burlington, Vermont, the Hart family. So we like to.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, we like to. They're our chosen.
Yeah, but
chosen family.
In Vermont for like Thanksgiving, it'd be awesome. I mean, it's great. It's perfect weather for it and everything.
Oh yeah.
Well, I did spent a few Christmas holidays on cruise ships.
At sea, yes.
Yeah, or in port, where, and they all tried really hard, but it was horrible for me because no one could sing the words correctly. All the Christmas songs, so you have people not from the U.S. singing all these American Christmas songs, and they could never quite get the words right in different ports, or they, like I said, I mean, and they all learn the songs phonetically anyway, So even in Jamaica, they just couldn't quite get the gist right. But yeah, so that it was actually really interesting the very first time that happened.
What's the likelihood to do a NatiCast at sea? Like a sea, like on one of these ships.
Oh, that's slim to none, man. It's
that ship has sailed? Come on, man.
Oh yeah, I hear that all the time. Oh, would you take a cruise now? No. It's not that there's anything wrong with cruising. It's just why would that's the last thing I want to do is
I've never set foot on a cruise ship.
Wow. So then, maybe this is something we have to put together. So here's my advice for non-cruisers or people who think, well, I wouldn't necessarily want to do a cruise.
Yeah.
So in the U.S., the way to then think of that cruise ship is go on a ship and do a cruise where you can see stuff from the ship that you couldn't see from land. So the two places that come to mind, and by the way, right out of New York is great. They don't do them all the time, but in the fall, if you do a cruise up through the St. Lawrence Seaway, you can cruise all the way up to Quebec, and it's beautiful, right? Yeah. And you will get a balcony cabin, and you're actually going to see things. The ship is going to provide you views and things to see that you wouldn't see otherwise.
Right. And like the enormous wave coming towards us?
Yes, right. Generally not in the St. Lawrence Seaway, but yes. I mean, maybe you could relive the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald out there somewhere.
I've heard of rogue waves. That's a real thing, man.
Or around the other side of Alaska. Alaska is beautiful to cruise, although it's very crowded these days, I guess. But Alaska, unless you're going to get in a kayak and go out there for a few weeks, you could, again... It's a beautiful place to cruise. Yeah. But the other thing that's cool, if you ever have an interest to go to Bermuda, the cruises out of New York is a great way to do it. It's like a day and a half at sea on the way out. You spend overnight in Hamilton and other side of the island, overnight in St. George, and a day and a half back. Right? It actually makes for a really nice, relaxing vacation. You get to see Bermuda is a great island. So that's also another good alternative. You don't have to fly anywhere, right? You just hop on down at in Manhattan. So anyway, that would be my that's my travel advice for.
Have you ever spent
your tips for non-cruisers?
Have you ever spent a holiday, Rex, on a cruise ship?
Yeah,
a Thanksgiving or a Christmas?
I both Thanksgiving and Christmas on a ship. It was fine. As Ron says, it's fine. I mean, whatever. It's an interesting group of people that choose to. I was working, interesting group of people that choose to spend their holidays out on a cruise ship. But who am I to judge, right?
And then what kind of traditions did you create for the kids in your own household, like for your traditions to start with?
Well, so since we moved out here to New Richmond on the farm, we really started to host Thanksgiving and Christmas generally, although the past few years we've been doing it now back down to my mom's, but we would and do the whole thing. We ended up we inherited all of the china, like everybody gets china, from my parents and grandparents. We had all this stuff that we'd moved around for years. And so I drag it all down, set the table, we do the whole spread and do a proper sit down meal. We did that for years out here.
Okay. What kind of numbers are we talking?
We tried to keep it small. So we generally were talking about between 10, 12 people.
Okay.
Ronnie would join us for at least Christmas or New Year's sometime. He would swing past on his rounds. But he was done, taking his mom around and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Mom would get tuckered out early, and I'd head out to the farm.
Yeah, exactly. A couple years when the kids were young, and it's great. We have we would decided to go. Well, we'll do Christmas over in the UK, which sounds great. And in a lot of ways, it was. I mean, there's some great traditions that happen over there, and we go over and see, Wendy's family and stay with her mom. The only problem was Boxing Day, exactly. Yeah. I mean, nobody can still to this day really explain to me what Boxing Day is, but it was great. It was a full-on another holiday right after Christmas.
It's Mike Tyson's favorite holiday.
There you go.
Don't let anybody tell you different.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely the definition we're looking for. But we had an old, and I just saw it the other day. So we had a video camera, with a tape in it, right? Not like digital now. When the kids were young, like once a year it would come out at Christmas, and you can watch like 2 or 3 Christmases in a row where it turns on and you see the kids there and their eyes are all red and swollen, their noses are runny, and they're clearly sick. Multiple years in a row. And they're like, we're not coming over at Christmas anymore. They get sick every year. We're just going to come over in the summertime. So that put the end of that. But that's the only thing on that tape. It like cuts from one Christmas to the next. They're a little older and they're sick. And then I think a third one and they're older and they're sick. And we're like, that's it. We're done. So, yeah. That's kind of what we did. Did you guys ever do any of the stuff around town? Did you do any of the, kind of the things back in the day? I mean, I'm thinking like the Shillito's Elves and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Trains. CG&E trains.
Oh, yeah. I think they're somewhere now still. Museum Center, maybe? I think they maybe moved them because they used to be in that building on 4th Street. And I think they keep them now at the Museum Center. And I think I saw somewhere that somebody bought those Shillito's Elves that used to be there and moved them out somewhere in Marymount or somewhere.
Oh, wow. That was a field trip for us at school.
What was?
Going down to see the Shillito's Elves and
you're
going
right.
to see the trains. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. We'd go see all the windows and then go down to the old CG&E building and see the train display.
When you go through that old, the enclosed promenade area there and the crew tower, right? Pogues, all that was in there. You know what I mean? Like we'd cross through the crew tower, and the Hathaway's used to be in there. I guess they're outside now, but Hathaway's was in there, and all of the shops in there was all decorated. I always really liked it. We would I'd get to take when I was a bit older, kind of 12, 13, we were allowed to take the bus downtown. I would take the bus down there and go see stuff. But that's back when all the department stores were open.
Right. That was the only place I was really allowed to go, because it was so close. Growing up in the West End, we could walk down or same thing, jump on the bus and go down. And I thought Shillito's was only 2 floors because I don't think I ever made it past the 2nd floor because that's where the toys were.
Right. And TB, did you ever get to go downtown unattended over the holidays or anything like that? Or was that always a supervised visit for you?
Yeah, that would be supervised. I didn't really run rogue on that. I had some interesting holidays when we lived in Japan, like seeing how like another country culture, I remember distinctly being in Kobe, Japan, and the Santa Claus was like super skinny. It was like, there was no, he had the suit on. Beef. Yeah, like, he had the Kobe beef, but,
He didn't get the Greg Wright Chicago Med fat suit.
Yeah, exactly. Well done, sir. Well done. But but they had, it was like, and then really fancy fruit, like melons were a big kind of holiday thing over there.
It them just trying like their version of replicating it, do you think?
Yes.
Is that what you felt like? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It was like looking at Christmas through Google Translate now.
Exactly.
Right, if it were real life.
Yeah.
Right.
I get what you're trying to do, but you just kind of a little bit off.
Totally.
I tell you, I learned a painful lesson one year at Christmas in Shillito's. I was by myself, and they, how they had they had all the linens or had the beds made up and everything, and I went running and I jumped on one of those beds because I didn't know that they were wood. They were wooden.
It was not a
They
mattress
weren't
under
actual
there.
beds with mattresses. Yeah. So they just, had all the blankets and comforters and pillows on these big slabs of wood. And, it didn't work out too well for me that day.
I know later in Ronnie and I's life, so he was working at a production company, and they had the gig doing the Festival of Lights at the zoo. Ron and I spent a number of, I guess it started maybe around, did it open at Thanksgiving? I don't remember when it opened. But probably around there.
It opened between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I think it started getting set at Thanksgiving.
Yeah. We spent a lot
they started
of cold,
all the lights, yeah.
Very cold. And Dave Lemick, who of course was a guest here, was there at the time. And there was, now it's all, but there were these big, made out of chicken wire, like animal floating things out on that pond that would light up. And
we had the castle out there as well.
Yeah, and the castle.
That huge castle out there where we had lights inside the castle. And they ran on the soundtrack. We'd program them to a soundtrack. And again, today this would all be so easy, but right, it was a pretty huge setup. Oh yeah, back then it was quite involved. But yeah, I mean, a mouse click and a 9-volt battery today, but back then it was
with huge electrical cables that we fed.
Oh yeah, remember
lake.
when the guy turned that when he turned that breaker on the other side. Remember that? Yeah, I grabbed the cable and they touched in front of me and sparked and burned a hole in that Army field jacket. Remember that?
Right across his field jacket. And then there was the one time we were out there, the lake was frozen or partially frozen, and we're trying to go out in this rowboat, and we're pounding on the ice trying to break it, and the woman comes out screaming at us because there's ducks on the lake. She says that her divers, she was trying to yell at us to get off the lake and stop doing this because she was afraid they were going to dive and go under the ice. And, I guess it's the wrong group you got out here doing this.
That was yeah. Well, and we were out there with Carrie that day, and you and I were in the boat. We were both wearing field jackets, and I guess she ran up to him. Who's in charge? So Carrie, being Carrie, said, "Oh, the guy in the army jacket." Both of us having army jackets. So we row to the shore, and she just turns to you and just lays into you.
It's like, I just work here. It's him.
Right.
In the army jacket.
In the army jacket.
Oh, man.
Oh, we're so good at finger pointing.
My mom actually kept the front page of the newspaper one of those years. I was on the front page of the newspaper.
So
doing something.
She did
Inquirer?
keep some of your stuff around.
Yeah. There's a color photo, of me doing something in the other part, those little miniature gingerbread houses in the Peacock Pavilion. But yeah, she kept that all that time, and I went, oh my goodness, I need to find that and frame it.
I kind of had the two of you, hand in hand going to Crohn's Conservatory. Just kind of checking things out.
I was
there.
probably more in my youth growing up in Mount Adams. That was one of those places.
I'm talking present day, man.
Present day.
Present day.
Present day. I haven't been over there in a while. I'm assuming they still do the full petting zoo nativity scene over there. Anybody? But you've been over there, Ronnie?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been over there, but I'm sure they do. I mean, that was a major tradition. Or I guess it still is. I would think they still do.
It has to be.
We were over there every and again, like I said, because it was kind of free reign. I mean, it was so cool. You're right. We could go over there on our own, right? Mm-hmm. So we would go over there a lot during the holidays, and then they started. Was it the first year of Winterfest at Kings Island when you worked out there, Ronnie? Was that the first year they did it?
No, I think it had been going a couple years.
It was fairly new
when
at
I
the
did
time.
Yeah, I think it was still relatively new. Yeah,
It's basically a money grab for winter, right? I mean, you've got the setup.
Well, yeah. Now they do the Halloween haunt leading into that, and then they do it. Because for a while they stopped both of them, which didn't make any sense to me at all. But
Tracy and I just went to this in Sleepy Hollow, upstate. This Blaze Pumpkin Fest that was incredible. You're talking like 7,000 carved pumpkins.
Did they? I mean,
Blaze.
is it just like laid out in a?
Oh, I had no clue about it. It was referred to Tracy, my wife, from a friend of hers. So it's kind of like, oh, it'll be great to, Ichabod Crane and take the whole Sleepy Hollow tour and kind of do that whole deal. But then this Blaze, I thought, it's going to be a few pumpkins. No, it is a 45-minute journey into pumpkin extravaganza.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Really?
It's incredible.
Now, do you drive through it or walk through it? Or
no,
how does
you
that
walk
work?
through it. You walk through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're doing
It's fantastic.
like hot chocolate and pumpkin spice lattes
absolutely.
and things.
Yes. Pumpkin ice cream, pumpkin
Oh,
on
Matthew
a
just
stick.
put a picture of it. Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
Now, is that a pumpkin dragon that I'm looking at the end of the tunnel?
So if you guys are in Brooklyn
Yeah.
and you're going to Blaze, what's
Train.
the train?
Grand Central, Metro North, Hudson on Croton is your stop. Taxi to the Airbnb. And then we could actually walk, because we did the background research. We walked from the Airbnb to the Blaze.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I encourage people to look this up. That is incredible. I can't even believe
It's
this.
unbelievable, man.
That's
highly,
Blaze.
highly recommend it. Yeah.
Wow.
What do they
sure.
get you for rolling into Blaze? What's the gate?
What did she? I want to say $25 maybe.
Okay.
Ahead.
That
Yeah.
seems-
Not
that
too
seems-
bad.
Yeah. I mean,
And
it's not Great American Ballpark $14 game.
I
day
can
tickets.
get us in for $7 if we really. Remember that one day I had you beat? You couldn't believe it.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. But that's it. No,
You know?
that seems well worth it for $25. I have to say that's
Oh yeah.
Do you remember, Rex? Do you remember? I was the voice of Winterfest. Actually, one winter.
So my
we
two
up there
remembrances of Winterfest. So the first time I went out to Winterfest, I was not working. Ronnie was working. He said, "Oh, come out to Winterfest." And Ron, we got up. It would freeze, the big fountain that runs down Main Street there, and they froze it so you could ice skate on it, which is pretty cool. Ron slaps on these ice skates, and the dude is like legitimate. I mean, good ice skating. I'm like, what the hell? He goes, He said, I never really ice skated before. And now I don't know whether that's Ron just full of it or whether he just popped on skates and was a natural. I mean, maybe you can tell me now.
Did you roller skate, Ron?
I roller skate. Yes,
Yeah,
I could roller
okay.
skate.
That's
And
it.
I didn't know there was a difference. So I
it
just
wasn't
figured,
quite
okay.
triple sow cow or whatever out there, but it was pretty damn good. I mean, he was definitely a natural out there on those skates.
It was
Sow
Winterfest.
cow. Look at Rex coming out with the judging
with the,
terminology.
What was it from?
Triple Lux. Triple Lux.
Well, I was thinking what's the ice skating one with Will Ferrell and John Hader?
Oh,
Blades of Glory. Where
Right.
it's called the Lotus. Where you do the spin around thing and they cut. It was banned because they decapitated the.
Speaking of ice and skates, what about ice capades? Is anybody, is that part of anyone's tradition? The ice capades?
Dave and Rita would never. There was none of that stuff. With none of the Mannheim Steamroller ice capades, Disney on Ice. None of it. None of it was happening in our house. I don't know about you guys, but we got none of it.
Nah.
Well, closest I got was working the figure skating championships. like late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, were you
Nice.
involved with
Back with Debbie, what was her name? Debbie Thomas and Katarina Witt
wow.
were the two big ice skaters, and they had this kind of rivalry going on. So I got to work the figure skating championships here in town.
Was that at the Coliseum?
It was indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we built
our
that. We
producer-
built that riverboat.
By the way, our producers put it up. It was called the Iron Lotus. Was the forbidden
Iron Lotus.
Oh, the Iron Lotus.
ice skating. I'm sorry.
What, I heard Billie Eilish was playing the Coliseum recently. Is that true?
She did. And
Anybody?
Hannah had tickets that I had gotten for her that she's working on a movie, so she had to she moved them on to a friend. But yeah, Billie Eilish was there. Yeah, just I think a week or so ago.
Okay.
Yeah, we're getting. I mean, Cincinnati's coming together, man. The city's coming together.
Well, I tell you what. What do you think about the new arena? The proposed new arena.
They released some things
where-
today.
what-
I didn't get to see it.
Do tell. What
Yeah.
are the details on this?
Well, there's I guess it's the chambers had someone come in and they put together a feasibility study, including some preliminary designs with renderings of a new arena to replace. Well, not necessarily to replace, but a new arena here in town.
Well,
but,
to actually replace it. I mean, basically, they're saying that that it's end of life. You know that the
Coliseum needs to be
Coliseum
imploded.
is in
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, let's call it.
But I think there's 3 or 4 locations they've proposed putting it. One is really close to me here down by the casino. One would be, of course, imploding the current one and putting it there. And there's a couple of other locations.
I think there was some talk too of kind of over on the Bengals stadium side, and I think there's going to be some reclaimed land over there when they rework the way the bridge comes in, like sitting one over there as well.
Right.
But I literally think today, and I haven't gotten to read it yet, they're talking about doing it. But the argument always is, without an anchor tenant, without basically a basketball team or a hockey team, can you make it economically viable? But I think like Kansas City, there's a couple cities that have built, new arenas because, they're missing out on. I mean, Billie Eilish came through, but there's a lot of touring acts now that they'll either go down to Lexington or Louisville or up to Columbus, or Indianapolis, right? They'll just miss Cincinnati. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
they
just
do because of the arena. Yeah.
because the facility's bad.
Yeah.
They're having trouble getting, they do some early preliminary stuff, but, you couldn't host, for example, they just got excluded, couldn't host like Final Four here or any of that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? They just won't do it. The facilities aren't up to snuff. So
you think that, like Indianapolis, they always kind of have that on lock with Lucas Oil, that is so interchangeable with so many different events. Is that because they have a professional basketball team? And we I don't know why we couldn't be on par with that. Like,
well,
what's
I think exactly. So most of the cities you'll see it in, Columbus, they have the Blue Jackets, or they've got basketball in Indy, and then if you even go down places like Louisville, I mean, like places like Rupp, that's where UK plays,
right?
So they have a big arena, but for college. There was some talk when they redid Fifth Third for UC about maybe using that as the anchor tenant. But I have to be honest, I think for UC, I'm kind of glad they kept that on campus, right? It's nice that they've got Nippert on campus. They've got the basketball on campus. Because when I was up there, I mean, at the time they were bouncing around. Remember, they played some here, there, and everywhere. It was before they built Fifth Third. So I think it's kind of nice.
UC played in the Coliseum, didn't they?
In the Coliseum, they played in the Coliseum for a while. So I mean, with all that in mind, it sounds to me like people are saying you can get enough with the touring acts and this, that, and the other thing to actually make it economically viable. And I hope it's so, right? I mean, it'd be neat to see that kind of a thing.
Well, Riverbend's nice too, right? As a venue, or is that...
It's all out. It's all outdoors.
So that's only summer.
Riverbend
year round.
Riverbend, what? 89?
Yeah.
85, or no, 86, 87.
Well, they built those two new. There's one next to Paul Brown, and then one across the river. But those are 5,000 seat. Not. You're probably talking 15 to 20,000 seat arena size.
Right.
Basketball, hockey arena size to do the arena tours and things like that. So anyway, hopefully, if that happens, because I think that you'll see a lot more concerts and a lot more other things come through.
Yeah.
Matthew's just popped up the famous WKRP turkey drop episode.
Turkey drop. Les Nessman. I love it.
It was like
with the helicopter.
Hitting the ground like sacks of wet cement.
I'm currently seeing. Yeah.
In case the listeners aren't familiar, they did a big promotion where they took a bunch of turkeys up in a helicopter. It's not going to go over well with our animal lover friends. It was only a TV show. No turkeys were harmed in the making of it.
In the making.
Yeah. Who's our flagship sponsor?
Hormel.
Yes, Red Oak Animal Rescue. Yeah, Les Nessman, the humanity. So they were throwing the turkeys out and they didn't realize they couldn't fly. He said, all the humanity, they're hitting the ground like sacks of wet cement.
The NatiCast is proudly brought to you by Paco Lago Productions. This show is hosted by Tim Barker, Rex Stull, and Ron Thomas. Produced and edited by Matthew Lake and associate produced by Ethan Spanja. Special thanks to Sadie Kern at Pop Gun Flow for the graphics and to Brando Triantafilu for the original theme song. Feel free to follow us at _NatiCast on Instagram or head to our website, thenaticast.com. You can get this show wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next time.